Hey everybody, Troy from the Do-It-Yourself world. It's all snowed in. I had a bit of a rough time here for a while. We had some severe weather and I was in survival mode. There's a bit of a snow hill. My truck was buried. That took a while. It took us 6 days, I think, to get the truck out. The Jeep froze. The gas lines froze. It took me 5 days to get that going. We have pathways. The snow is melting. We had another 4 inches of snow yesterday. In all, I think we got 24 to 30 inches of snow total. But the wind has been blasting it away and moving it around. But it was a lot. It was a lot of snow. Out here, it got swept out, but it was up to just under my knees in places. Right now I got to reshovel because we got 4 inches yesterday. So I've got to clear the pathways again. Now I never did make it out to the sheds during this. I did have a path there though. You can't see it anymore, but it's gone. I did have a path there. Now let me tell you some of the ways we prepared for this storm. Now it's melting some, but that's the chicken coop. That's the chicken house, okay? And what I did before the really bad cold came on, and this is a really good homesteading tip. You can see how high that is. That's 5 foot tall right there. And what I did was we got a bad snowstorm, and then I shoveled snow up all the way to the not covering snow covered the roof, but I shoveled snow up all up to the roof, covering the back wall and the side wall here of the chicken coop. I had tarps on there to stop wind from blowing and hurting the birds, and snow is an insulator. And as you can see, it's much higher than the trailer. It's higher than the wood rack. And it's, like I said, it's melting now, but it was high. Actually, it was above my food can, way high. I took off the cover for the chicken pen before the snow hit. This is my Weaver chicken coop that I put together in the summer. And the only flaw after, 8 months, is a tiny bit of rust on one bolt right here in the whole thing. The cover, when I pulled it off, was like brand new still. So this is a pretty good rugged chicken coop. If I remember, I hope to put the link down below. That's a pretty good chicken coop. It's not meant for 4 seasons, but if you take the top off, it'll hold. Now, we did get snow that actually filled in those gaps, so I had to knock it down. And had to make sure that the snow wouldn't load up, because that's that thin light pole up on the top. This would have crushed. Again, it's a 3-season chicken coop, but I made it a 4-season with the chicken house that kept the birds alive and insulated throughout the worst of the cold. We had some bad cold. Everybody did out this way. So that's no surprise to anybody. Now that is supposed to be a 4-season carport over the sawmill. It is not. It is a piece of trash. That is not a 4-season. It did not survive its first winter, and it crushed and collapsed and poles bent and were destroyed. That was a waste. So what I did there is I put a tarp over the sawmill and then draped it down over the rails. And then I took the strapping off of the roof of the carport and then draped the whole thing over the mill for extra protection. And in that way it survived. But you can see it's collapsing even under the weight of the tarp. It's flimsy. That was really annoying. The tent carports anymore are just no good. No good at all. So that was another thing, a way we prepped. And another thing we did, you don't see it, but this was full of firewood out to here, and all the way out to here, and all the way around here was all firewood. And before it snowed, I did process that all and got it in to the greenhouse to stay dry and warm for us. So that was another way of preparing. I also got all the trailers and wagons lined up, and the log splitter, everything is lined up. Log splitter has a protective cover now to keep it out of the elements. So I tried tarping it all the time, but the tarp actually would cause rust. And this is supposed to be breathable, so we'll see how that works. But I got everything lined up here. I got the garden tractor, the one I run up under the trees by the house before the big snow came. And nothing's moving out of here for a while with this snow. I don't have the strength left. I still have to shovel and maintain pathways. We tried running the Jeep out here after we got it running. No, that was no good. I got it stuck. And I got to reopen my pathways. But we had quite a storm. Quite a couple weeks of brutal weather, so I was just feeding the fire and keeping warm. That was in shoveling pathways a lot. I also used this heavily. You may remember, it was funny. In the beginning of winter, we had no snow at all. And I did a bit of a theoretical review on this because we had no snow and no snow came forever. I'll have to go back and look how long ago that was, but this thing has served me well. This thing, I've blown snow up to here, higher than the snowblower. And I wish I could show you now. It was brutally cold and windy. It was just brutally cold. And the snow was blowing and windy, so I didn't want to wreck my camera. It would have blown over and then got all messed up. It was bad. But anyway, so what I did when the snow was this high is I would make 2 passes. Again, I wish I could show you because this thing performed amazingly. But I would make 2 passes in the snow, and I would let this sort of float up to where it wanted to be and run a pass all the way the length of where I wanted to clear out. And then I would turn around and I'd come down to the ground. And 2 passes, and this thing did very well in deep snow. So I'm going to go and clear some of my pathways now. I use this really heavily out here almost every day. And then I shovel after the battery dies on that. Shovel for a while, recharge it, bring it out, run it again, shovel for a while. And that's how I've spent my weeks, shoveling, snow blowing, and feeding and caring for animals and feeding the fire. I think the fire eats more than animals. Now I'm scraping this down to grass. It's only hanging on occasion where it's drifted in and then it's wet, heavy. Well, it's really wet, heavy, packable snow. And so it only hangs where I've hit a snowdrift from yesterday and last night. But otherwise it's pretty easy going. And you learn to work with it. You learn to figure out how to use it. But I've got to break through there, through the orchard and out to Carroll Road to my wood pile and get some more wood in. Got the gate free, and I ran the machine down through the path here, all the way through my orchard. It's a bit of a winding path. That's what happens when you start putting things in a interesting random looking pattern. It's harder to use a snowblower through here. But this is how I haul my firewood now. After that fiasco the other couple weeks ago with a truck and everything, this is how I get my firewood with a wheelbarrow by hand. There's no way my 2-wheel drive Chevy S10 is gonna get in and out of here at all until this snow is gone, and I don't have the ability to move it. Now there I've got some firewood to process. I'm not going to try right now until the snow is gone, but that's my reserve firewood. I've got a little pile here yet to cut, and that'll get me through spring. I figure I need 8 or 10 face cord yet to get through this season. And I don't know, the observant of you will notice this pile is incredibly greatly diminished. That was over my head before. And this little thing is helping me what would have taken half a day, literally, with a shovel and a lot of pain, has taken mere minutes. So I've also been stacking wood here, stuff that is wet. Most of this is relatively dry in here, like aged and ready to burn. But the whiter stuff I've been putting up in the 2 piles here to get it off the ground and dry it more. Now, I'm going to have to hand shovel because I don't want to hurt this, but I've got to break through here because I don't know if there's any wood in right here. And then I'm going to run the snow blower along the front edge of that pile and then along the that pile over there where the limbwood is. That way I can start processing limbwood now. And I think we're going to get through. I know a lot of people rebuked me for having my firewood out here, but I didn't know my truck wasn't going to run in snow until it snowed. I mean, how can you know that ahead of time? It's got good tires, not good for snow. And this is precisely why I didn't run the snowblower here. You can't see it until you get there. There's a log and around. Ugh. That doesn't want to go. I'm hoping to get it out of my way because I'm going to be running the wheelbarrow through here and processing firewood. This one isn't down too hard. It's just pulling up half the earth with it. Ooh. Really like to get that out of my way. Well, I'm going to pick at that one. I need it gone.